Hey guys, today I want to show you how to repair a leaky faucet. This faucet is what they call a ball faucet. There's a ball inside there and you rock it back and forth to get hot and cold water. This is a builder's grade faucet, which is really cheap, but it's made just like the Delta. So when you take these parts to the hardware store, you'll look in the Delta section for your parts. Tools that you're going to need to do this job: you need a groove wrench, which will let you adjust to different sizes. A pair of needle nose pliers are nice. You'll definitely need a Phillips screwdriver, plumber's silicone grease, I don't know if you can read that, and a set of Allen wrenches are nice. You'll need a plastic bag to put your parts in so you can take it to the store and get the exact parts that you need. I like to start this job. The first thing you want to do is to pull that stopper and make sure it's in make sure it's closed. You don't want any parts falling down the drain, and then you have to take the drain apart. It creates a whole different set of problems. Alright, the next thing you want to do is make sure the water is turned off. And you've got two valves under here, one for the hot and one for the cold. Just close those. Go up to your sink and check. Yep, make sure the water is off. Oh, normally on these on the handle here, there's usually a cap, and you'll just, if yours has one, just take your screwdriver and just kind of pry it off and be gentle with it, kind of work it all the way around, and it should just pop right off. This one's missing. Anyway, take your Phillips head screwdriver and unscrew the handle. And wrench, and we'll loosen this up. And that should slide right off there. Yep, just like that. You want to be really careful with the finish. Of course, that one's already scratched. Well, that might just be crud. But anyway, you want to be careful with the finish. And what you can do, you can take tape and wrap around the ends of your wrench. But if you're very careful, you can do it without scratching anything up. But again, this was loose, but the one that I had downstairs was really stuck, so you might have to crank on it a little bit. This is the cam assembly. You just pull it off of there. See, there's the cam assembly, and here's the ball. The seats, these are called the inlet seats, and there's springs underneath there, and that's why you need your needle nose pliers. It just makes it easier. And by the way, this is what wears out. Once they start getting old and kind of compressed in there, that's when your sink starts to leak. But anyway, take your needle nose pliers and pull those out, and see that there's actually a spring inside there. Notice I'm putting all these parts and pieces inside there to take with me to the store to match up my parts. The next thing you want to do is you want to take out the aerator, and it can be stuck too, and this one is. So it's just a good idea to go ahead and replace that. Take your adjustable wrench, alright, I think I loosened it there. Yeah, just go ahead and replace that while you're at it. You know, if it hasn't gone out, it will. I don't know if you can see that. You want to match these up too, because they have female and male threadings on these things. So just stick that in your bag. Got all my parts and pieces in there. I'm ready to go to the store. Take your seats and springs, and I'm putting my spring in. Oh, you see what I mean about having that stopper closed? Okay, I'm taking my spring and put it inside the seat like that. And now you can either use your needle nose pliers or you can just kind of work them in by hand. It might be easier to use the pliers, but I'm just going to pop it in there. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but there's my new seat and spring in there. Okay, see, I've got both of them in there now. I'm just going to take my finger and kind of push those in, make sure they're in there good. You know, you don't want it. You want to make sure they're not in there kinked up and they're sideways or anything like that, or they will leak. Just make sure they're seated properly. Okay, the next step is to put the ball in there, but before you do that, you want to take your plumber's grease. It doesn't take much. Just get a little dab of it, and you want to kind of work it around the openings here. See how I'm just kind of smearing that around like that? It's no big deal. Just put a little bit on there. Alright. Okay, let's see. Let me get my light here. See that little pin sticking out there on the right? You take that little groove on the ball and you make sure that it's sticking down on that pin, or the pin is sticking inside that groove. Okay, now you want to take your cam assembly and place it in here, and it's got a little groove too. I'm sorry, it's got a little groove on the side, or it's got a little, and you see the little notch right here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a notch on the left hand side there. When you go to put screwing this top back on, you got to push that down and make sure that that plastic piece stays in that groove. If it turns, then you're gonna have problems with your sink. So right there, you got to make sure when you're screwing this top back down that stays in there, because what it's going to want to do is when you start screwing the top down, it's going to want to turn like that, and that's not going to do any good. So let me see if I can find a way to position the camera and do this with two hands. Okay guys, now I'm going to hold this down and push it down that groove like I was telling you about. Put the top on here, and then you want to take your finger and make sure that it stays in the groove. And I'm putting pressure on this the whole time I'm doing this. Okay, now you want to take your adjustable wrench and tighten it up. Okay, it's on there pretty good. Now we take our Allen wrench. Tighten that back up. Where's my top? My handle. Put your handle back on here. Now turn your water back on. Okay, here's the aerator. We'll put it back on. Don't use a wrench to tighten this, just hand tight is fine. And then we can turn the water on. Let it run in cold and hot for a little while and let all the grease and crud get out of there. And the sink is fixed.